This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
And welcome back to the X-Zone. My name is Rob McConnell, and we're coming to you from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Toll-free worldwide, 1-800-610-7035. Email xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com. And our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. My guest this hour is Roberta Hoffer. She is an educator with almost 30 years of experience and author of Silent Heart, which explores the relationship between vampires and the living world. Her website is www.asilentheart.com. And Roberta, welcome to the X-Zone.
Thank you, Rob.
Tell me, where did
Good
your...
to be here.
Well, we're glad you're here, too. Where did your interest in vampires come from?
As I was growing up, I was always interested in vampires. I was an avid reader. I watched a lot of movies. And when I got older and I decided that I wanted to write about them, I wanted to be on both sides of the fence. I'd already been on the one side, the viewer and the watcher, and I wanted to be on the other side, and I wanted to create my own vampires.
Tell me, are vampires real or are they folklore and urban legend?
They are folklore.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they are.
So what is the attraction for people, the lure of the vampire then? Because, you know, there's a lot of TV shows on TV. I forget the name of the one that's out there now. I can hardly move my wife from the TV set when it's on.
You're talking about the True Blood series?
That's it.
Mm-hmm. The one on HBO.
Right.
Right. And then also the Vampire Diaries are on as well on regular channel. I think the lure of vampires, in particular to women, is that they are seductive, and the newer, more modern vampires are more handsome, more debonair, unlike the ones of the Bram Stoker, where the older ones were kind of creaturistic.
Yeah. You know, they at least gave you a bit of a scare, but these ones these days, I don't know. I don't know. You know, like you said, there's more sex appeal, not only for the females, but for the male viewers, I'm sure.
Right.
You know,
well,
but
I think.
Go on.
I think that the older ones, yes, they did have the more of a scare factor for everybody, especially for children, I think. But now I think that they're making them more modern and more believable, and in that is kind of scary in itself, to think that somebody that looks like you and could be standing next to you could also be a creature of the night.
But if they're not real, why do people still believe in them?
They're not real because people believe in them, because people believe in a lot of things that are not real. It's hard to say because I don't want to step on any toes, but children believe, a lot of children believe in Santa Claus.
Sure, I believe in Santa, especially Christmas Eve.
Right, and adults, you know. But there are people that do not believe in Santa Claus. There are people that believe in witches, and other people that don't believe in witches.
So it's a matter of
it's the same
personal
thing with
belief.
vampires.
So it's a matter of
Yeah.
personal belief. All right, Roberta, please stand by. You and I have to take our first 2-minute commercial break. Exo Nation, Roberta Hoffer's our special guest. www.asilentheart.com. That's www.asilentheart.com. And we'll be back on the other side of this commercial break talking about vampires here in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Don't go away.
Take a step back in time and discover old Florida cuisine at Marsh Landing Restaurant in Fellsmere. Enjoy delicacies such as frog legs, gator tail, catfish, and swamp cabbage, or enjoy the more traditional cuisine like hand-cut Angus steaks, ribs, and seafood. Join us for breakfast with a southern flair featuring sweet potato pancakes, biscuits and gravy, and much more. Planning a party? Marsh Landing's private dining room can accommodate groups from 8 to 80 people. While you're visiting, enjoy the historic pictures, artifacts, and stories that line the walls. Marsh Landing is truly a unique experience. Marsh Landing Restaurant, 44 North Broadway in historic Fellsmere, or visit marshlandingrestaurant.com. Marsh Landing, old Florida cuisine at its best.
Are you interested in the paranormal, ghosts, UFOs, or psychic phenomenon? Join me, Tim Bartley, co-host of Talking to Spirits with Lightworkers Tim and Justina, coming mid-January 2017 to the XZBN. We will channel spirits live and talk to them, revealing all kinds of amazing information. Spiritual attachments will be found and removed on the show, and so much more. To find out when you can listen to Talking to Spirits with Lightworkers Tim and Justina, visit www.xzbn.net for listeners on both sides of the veil.
Exo Nation, Roberta Hoffer's our special guest. She's the author of Silent Heart. Her website is www.asilentheart.com. Tell me, can books about vampires negatively influence a child's mind?
I've been asked that a lot, Rob, and I will tell you that, again, I think it's a lot due to the child, how they're brought up, what they were brought up to believe in. Children, especially, we're coming into the Halloween season, the vampire season, so to speak, in October. And as a teacher, and I teach small children,
Right.
They play, they pretend, they are vampires, they're pirates, they're witches, whatever, and they pretend this. I think as they get older and say into the teenage years, they're really not pretending, but they're kind of seeking out something to identify with. So like fads, say the grunge, look and all that. I think that a lot of this has to do with what they're looking for.
So are you saying that this would then help a child's imagination to develop?
In some respects, yes, I do, because I think that just reading in general is a good thing for a child. And when they read, they read, whether they're reading Diary of a Wimpy Kid or whether they're reading a vampire book or something that interests them, they're going to read it more often and get more out of it because it interests them.
I
If something
remember
that doesn't interest them, they're going to stop.
I remember when the Harry Potter series came out, there were school boards that were getting lambasted by parents left, right, and center, and it seems that the stigma that was raised by certain philosophies has died down considerably. And yet I can't remember any of the vampire books ever facing the scrutiny that Harry Potter did.
I don't think so, because vampires are, everyone, I believe, thinks, knows, or should know that vampires are fiction. But in the case of Harry Potter, there have been witch trials and the Salem issues and all, and I think that it has a little bit more of a body to it, a truth to it.
Do you think in today's society where everybody has to be so politically correct that there's still place in school for Halloween and other paganistic holidays?
Actually, I do. I know in our school system where I teach, they have, instead of having a Halloween party, they have fall parties. So they don't even call it that. The particular school that I'm in is a private school, and we do have a party where we can dress up. The kids can dress up in their costumes and whatever they want. They want to come as vampires, they want to come as pirates or princesses. That's what interests them. I don't think that is something that's going to change them when it comes into November and you're getting ready to go into the holidays.
You know what? When I was a kid going to school, we had Halloween parties, we had Christmas parties, we had Easter parties. But now, with kids having to be, the school boards having to be so politically correct, are we depriving our children of some very basic values because of political correctness?
Sometimes I think we are. I do, because there are so many toes that are to be stepped on, so to speak. And when you're if you just stop and think, well, all of this red tape that involves making these decisions, if you just say, is what really makes a child happy? Are they going to be happy being able to dress up and be whatever they want to be for their so-called quote-unquote Halloween party? Or are they going to be satisfied to have cider and donuts at their fall party? I think that some children are fine with that. It just depends on how they're raised. Other children would feel kind of like, they missed something. It'd be like having Christmas and basically not having Santa.
Tell me, is vampirism a fad, or does the vampire industry actually have a strong hold between vampires and the living world?
Is it a fad? Well, Rob, I think that everything is a fad as far as clothing or TV shows or just things in general that come and go, because they say that I know there was a person that quoted one time that vampirism can come and go, but it's always going to be around, whether it's the bad guys with the werewolves, or the ones that change into bats, or the modern ones. It's gonna return. It may take a little, like of hills and valleys, but it will return. It will always be there because it's been there for decades, centuries.
Tell me about your book, Silent Heart.
My book, Silent Heart, was actually created in my head by the beginning that I did some genealogy work into my family. And I came up with some interesting information about some family members that, of course, have been deceased for many, many decades that I never met. But I incorporated that into my book and used my deceased relatives as my characters. And a couple of things that did happen in real life to my great-great-grandfather, I did put into the book, and as far as his death was concerned.
The vampires in your book, are they the blood-drinking, neck-biting, bat-turning into vampires?
No. They are, of course, the modern type, I guess you might say. I have the good versus the evil, of course. You've got to have that. The one thing about them is that, yes, vampires are vampires, from the Bram Stokers all the way up to the Twilights to my Silent Heart vampires. They do drink blood. But we have found a way to get around killing, at least my good vampires, get around killing humans and trying to coexist in the mortal world. And they do not turn into bats. They do not have fangs. You don't have to bite someone in the neck. They can go out in the sun, although they do get migraines if they're out in the sun very long. But they don't turn to ash. They don't burn up the minute they get into the sun. So they have some traits. They have the special abilities, the speed, the high velocity of hearing, of thought patterns, and being able to read others' minds, but they're different.
Exonation, our special guest of this hour is Roberta Hoffer. She is an educator with almost 30 years of experience and the author of Silent Heart, which explores the relationship between vampires and the living world. What is the relationship between vampires and the living world? Has it changed a lot over the years?
Yes, definitely. I think from the very beginning, when vampires from Vlad the Impaler was one of the first ones that they actually talk about, and then of course you have your Dracula and all the others that have come in between, the Bela Lugosi's and all those. Yes, they've changed. They interact now with the world, whereas the ones of the past, they were hidden. They would sleep in their coffins on their homeland dirt, and they would hide themselves away, and they would only come out at night, and they were uncomfortable coexisting with humans or mortals. Today's vampires of our creation, the ones that we have created, are not uncomfortable with that. They try to mix in and mingle in and become part of society.
I think my favorite vampire movie was the one with George Hamilton and Artie Johnson. The title escapes me right now. What was it, A Vampire in New York? No, that doesn't sound...
It wasn't Once Bitten, was it? It was kind of a pun.
Oh, definitely
vampires.
It was, yeah.
Yes. That was a funny one. There are a lot of funny ones. One just recently came out, just this past summer, was Vampires Suck, I believe. And it was just a takeoff of Twilight.
What do you think of the series Twilight as an expert or a connoisseur of vampires?
Of course, I've read the books, all of them, more than once. I've seen all the movies, and I have some of the collectibles. I even have the doll, the Edward doll. But I liked it because it did bring out a little bit more of a believability of vampires. And it kind of, I already had the idea in my head for my own vampires, and then when this came out, it was kind of like, oh, shoot. But I have some twists in Silent Heart that has not ever been done before. And there are just different things that happen to the mortal and the immortal world that has not, like Twilight did not touch on that. And there are several other things, other like Moonlight and different ones that have not actually gone to this area of being able to be mortal and immortal together. But I liked Twilight. I have to say I liked it. And it's very similar to Silent Heart in that when I write with proper language. I do not use language that would be offensive to anyone. That way children, say in middle school and above, can read the book. I'm not explicit in my sex scenes, such as in the Charlene Harris books, the Stooky Stackhouse books. They go to an extreme, but and especially in True Blood, like the one you say your wife likes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I try to keep it within that range, and so I can kind of identify with Twilight.
Yeah, she likes that, but she also likes Home and Garden Channel, so I don't know.
Well, you have to have the extremes,
I guess,
from one to another to kind of give a balance.
Roberta, you and I have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Please stand by. Great talking with you. Exonation, our special guest this hour is Roberta Hoffer. She's the author of Silent Heart. Vampires are the topic. If you'd like to visit her website, www.asilentheart.com. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X-Zone. We're coming to you from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
19 Sergeant Central. 19 Sergeant, check. Officers on the scene.
Hi, I'm Larry Lawson, host of Paranormal Stakeout. With over 36 years in law enforcement, I have learned a few things. The most important is the proper gathering and preservation of evidence is vital to putting the bad guy behind bars. It's no different in the world of paranormal investigation. Whether it's the search for the afterlife, cryptozoology, UFOs, and extraterrestrials, how we gather the evidence, preserve that evidence, and present it to a jury of our peers will make the ultimate difference in proving the existence of worlds and entities that are beyond our imagination. Join me, Larry Lawson, every week on Paranormal Stakeout when, along with my guests, we'll take a journey to prove with indisputable evidence what man has struggled to believe for centuries. Go to xzbn.net for the broadcast schedule and check me out at paranormalstakeout.com.
Roberta Hoffer is our special guest this hour. Exonation, we're talking about her new book. It's called Silent Heart. Her website is www.asilentheart.com, and it's about vampires. Tell me, have you ever gone to any of these vampire clubs that have been popping up all over the United States and Canada?
I have to say, Rob, I have not. I have not.
Have you ever had the opportunity of talking to someone who's claimed they were a real vampire?
I have not personally spoken to someone, but I have been on many websites where they actually do believe that they are vampires or of that lineage, that they would be, they're not able to go out in the sun, and they actually talk about using people's blood to sustain themselves. And I have to say that did freak me out a little bit.
How did you do your research for your book? Because I know all authors do a lot of research just to make sure they've got their T's crossed and their I's dotted.
Yes. Well, like I said before, I did a lot of genealogy work to start out with, to give my characters some base and some personality. And after I did that, then, of course, I went into researching just vampires in general, just anything and everything that I could find. The Internet is such a wealth of knowledge that I just pretty much saturated myself with it and spent hours and hours just reading about it. And, of course, the book actually deals with my oldest. There are a lot of very old vampires in my book. And one of my main characters, the good vampire, Carter, he is from the Revolutionary War. And therefore, I really wanted to be factual on that, so I did a lot of research on that. Right now, currently, I'm writing book 2 because it is a trilogy. So I'm writing book 2, and it actually involves even more history. So I've had to do more research into that because you're right. If you don't have your T's crossed and your I's dotted, somebody's going to catch it.
What's the difference between a good vampire and a bad vampire?
Well, of course, the bad vampires are the ones that's going to kill you and drop you and leave you. And the good ones are the ones that are going to not do anything to you. They're going to try not to harm you. They will find other ways. Synthetic blood, that's something that I've really brought out in my book, is because in Silent Heart there are people that yes, there are vampires and immortals that do drink human blood, just for the fun of it. But my good vampires, they actually seek out synthetic blood, and they're finding ways of working at like Johns Hopkins University to be able to get this where they can use it. And it's a truth, because I also did research into synthetic blood, and it is actually happening in our society today as a way in which to help on the battlegrounds. And when they don't have blood. They can actually use a synthetic blood because it's a longer shelf life.
So how would someone, if they wanted to, kill one of your bad vampires?
How would they kill them? Giving away secrets. Actually, there's only one way to kill vampires, and that is with fire.
With fire? You mean the silver bullets don't really work? The stake through the heart?
Stake through the heart. Stake through the heart only messes up the shirt.
Wow.
Yes. Yes, it's only fire, and it really has to be, pretty good fire too.
Does garlic ward them off, or is this just another urban legend?
Just a legend. Just a legend. I mean,
Jeez.
and it's possibly for the older vampires. Yes, that probably worked for them. And no reflection in a mirror, that kind of thing. That probably did have an effect on them. But as the vampires have grown over the years and over the decades and over the centuries, they have changed, just like our society. It's like us. Mortals have changed.
Yeah, but we're not vampires.
No.
You think of a vampire, you think of some dark character in a cape with it over his face, jumping through the unlocked window of the fair maiden and oogling her with his eyes, thrusting himself upon her, then biting her in the neck.
That's the vampires of old. Those are the vampires of old. They have evolved.
Yeah, well, you're
Vampires have evolved.
You're talking to a radio personality of old over here, don't you know?
You're talking to an immortal of old here. Remember, I've taught for almost 30 years, so I can't be 25.
So you started teaching when you were 3 years old. There you go.
Yes, I did. Yes, I was a student teacher.
Is there?
Now, actually, I'll be honest with you. I will be 60 this year, but I still love vampires. It doesn't matter. Age has no bearing when it comes to vampires.
Hey, I still love Santa Claus. I still love the Easter Bunny.
I do. I love gifts, and I love chocolate bunnies too.
Don't we all?
Yes, we do.
Tell me, as a teacher as well as an author, is there a connection between vampires and goths and the events that happened in Columbine?
I don't know if I would actually involve vampires in that. I think maybe goths might have had a bearing, but I don't know that vampirism and vampirism and goth are dark. Okay, I understand that, but I don't believe that it was so much vampires. It's just the dark occult type of goth that possibly had some influence.
I thought that one was a spin-off of the other.
I don't think so.
No way.
I don't think so. I think back when I was a teenager, we didn't have goth back then in the 60s, but we had the Beatles.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, and their long hair, and my parents didn't like that. They thought that was a bad influence on us, and the long hair and the mini skirts and that kind of stuff. But look, I turned out okay.
Sure you did. And then prior to the Beatles, there was Elvis Presley and rock and roll, and how many,
right.
the ban that so many politicians and religious leaders tried to, force onto the radio stations so they wouldn't play any of this music. So things never change; they just evolve.
Right. I think maybe we might be safer with vampires than we are with something that's actually real. Because the Beatles were real and Elvis was real.
Yeah.
Rock and roll is real.
Mind you, I can't remember the Beatles ever being, going around biting people's necks or people trying to stick a stake in their heart. But what the heck do I know? I wasn't there all the time.
Well, that's true, but I do believe I remember a comment that John Lennon said that he compared himself to God. That really brought up the interest.
Well, you know what? But he was right. He was right. The Beatles were more popular than Jesus Christ at that time in history.
They were to a certain group.
Worldwide.
To the adults.
Worldwide, the Beatles were popular, more popular. More people bought more people understood what Lenin was saying, but of course that was taken out of context and blown out all over the place. It's his comments served a dual purpose. It served to get the attention of the religious community as well as the youth. So what the heck, it worked.
It did.
Yeah,
it did. Yes. And I think with vampires, you're going to get people that are going to be totally in love with them, and you're going to have people that totally hate them and won't read the book, and that's okay. There are going to be people that will not read Silent Heart because it doesn't have a lot of filth and that kind of thing. That's what they look for in books. They're not going to read it if they know that it doesn't have that.
Well, you know what? I commend you as an author. I commend you as a teacher, and I commend you as a parent for the way that you've approached this topic.
Well, I just feel like, I can't put my name on a book that I would be embarrassed with the language because that's not me. Mm-hmm. That's not the way I talk. That's not the way I was raised. And I can't put my name on a book that has a cover with something that's very seductive. It would embarrass me. I mean, I teach in a Lutheran school. I mean, I have more respect for myself, but I also want people to be aware that books can be written with clean language and clean thoughts. Whatever you take out of that book, that's up to you. I'm going to take you to a certain point, and I'm going to bring you right to the edge, and then it's up to you to use your imagination. That's the whole point in writing a book, I think, and that's what I love about fiction, is that you can make it anything you want it to be, and therefore I chose not to go the rude route where I would feel embarrassed. I wanted to be clean.
What do your friends and family say about your being an author of Silent Heart and writing about vampires?
Well, most of the people that my family that know me well understand because I know my fascination with it. Other ones that don't really know how infatuated I've been all my life with vampires say, that's nice, good luck with that, But the book is written in the text that it's actually my daughter's age. It would be like my daughter. Only people that have read the book say, this is you. I can hear you talking. There are mannerisms in the main character, the female character, that is you. And I talk in fragments. So when I'm writing the book, I write it like I talk, and then my computer tells me, fragmented, you need to you consider revising. But I cancel that out and say, I talk in fragments. I'm sorry, that's the way I am. Read it as I am. And I've made mistakes, yes, in my book. I'm not perfect. No one is. So I'm a new author. I'm a rookie, and I'm really wanting to get out there and show people that you can write things that have good quality, and you don't have to worry about getting into the smut and all that, and your kids can read it, and you're not going to be worried about them.
I'd like you to take me back to that moment in time when you actually received your first finished copy. It's in your hand. What was it like?
I was waiting on it, like on pins and needles, and when it finally came, I held it. My husband took me outside and said, let's take pictures. We took pictures with the book and me, but it was thrilling to me because it was like, finally, like I said, I'm going to be 60 this year, and finally, I have gotten a book out there, and now maybe I can retire and continue to write, and this is what I really want to do. I want to write books. I want to write fiction novels. I want to write children's books. That's a great interest to me.
Are your books going to be towards the paranormal and vampires, or are your books going to be on a variety of subjects?
Right now, like I said, the Silent Heart is the first of my trilogy. So I have 2 more books to complete for this. And then I would like to go into some children's books because I have written children's books for my grandson, which will turn 8 this Thursday. And each year I write him a book, one book, and that is the only one that is there in the entire world, and it is dedicated to him every year. And so I hope that I can continue that because over the years that I've been teaching, I've read a lot of books to a lot of children, and it's given them a lot of pleasure, and I would like to be able to give back to them by writing books for them as well. But yes, I will probably still dabble in the paranormal outside of children's books, not children's books, but outside of the children's books as well, yes.
We've got about a minute left before I have to go for my next commercial break. I'd just like to ask you as a teacher, when it comes to the electronic or the new technology that's coming in, I'm talking about the iPods, the Kindles, portable computers. Do they have a place in today's school, or should we stick to the old way of doing things with books, with chalkboards, and with more one-on-one attention with teachers?
I have a real opinionated thought on that. I love the way that it has come around, the computers and all, because laptop is great for writing. You can take it with you anywhere. I love the fact that you can read a book, right in front of you and on this little bitty thing.
Right.
Sometimes it worries me that it might make books with paper obsolete, but I also know that if you write, you can still get it on that. You can still get it on an ebook or whatever. But my grandson that I just spoke of, Christian, he has actually gone to a new school that they do not have teachers now. They have learning leaders.
Ooh.
And the children are not students, they're learners. And they're moving out of that, and they have computers in every room and screens that they come in, and the teacher doesn't tell them what to do. It's on the screen. And yeah, that worries me, because I worry about it being one-on-one. My classroom, we have one computer, and we are always one-on-one with the children. And,
All right.
And I guess old school. I try to keep it that way.
Okay, we've got to take a commercial break. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. X-Zone Nation. Roberta Hoffer is our special guest. www.asilentheart.com. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X-Zone. We'll be back. Don't go away.
19 Sergeant Central. 19 starting check. Officers on the scene.
Hi, I'm Larry Lawson, host of Paranormal Stakeout. With over 36 years in law enforcement, I have learned a few things. The most important is the proper gathering and preservation of evidence is vital to putting the bad guy behind bars. It's no different in the world of paranormal investigation. Whether it's the search for the afterlife, cryptozoology, UFOs, and extraterrestrials, how we gather the evidence, preserve that evidence, and present it to a jury of our peers will make the ultimate difference in proving the existence of worlds and entities that are beyond our imagination. Join me, Larry Lawson, every week on Paranormal Stakeout when, along with my guests, we'll take a journey to prove with indisputable evidence what man has struggled to believe for centuries. Go to xzbn.net for the broadcast schedule and check me out at paranormalstakeout.com.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
And welcome back, everyone. Roberta Hoffer is our special guest this hour. She's the author of Silent Heart. It's a book about vampires, gang. Her website, www.asilentheart.com. She's an educator with almost 30 years of experience, and she likes to explore the relationships between vampires and the living world. Once again, her website is www.asilentheart.com. First of all, Roberta, great having you with us. Where can our listeners go to buy your book?
They can go on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, Borders.com. Of course, they're locally in the bookstores in Indiana, but they have all the websites are there on the internet. And plus, you can go to my website, and I'll send you one that's signed.
Super. Tell me, what was the hardest part of writing Silent Heart?
The hardest part is what I'm doing right now.
What's that?
Is the PR. No, actually, putting it all together, I suppose, finding a publisher. I did go with self-publishing because I was very anxious and impatient and ready to get it out there, and I just didn't want to send it and get a lot of rejections, and I just wanted to get it out there. And so that's why I went self-publishing, and that's kind of a new phase for books now.
What advice would you have for anyone listening around the world tonight who is considering writing a book?
I would say don't give up, because I did that several times. I would start things and life would get in the way, or something else would get in the way, and then a few years later, okay, well, I'm going to try this again. But it doesn't matter how long it takes you to write a book, especially your first one. The point is that you stay with it, you stay determined, and that you do get it out there. Whether it's a New York Times bestseller, or whether it's just going to be out there, and sell 1,000 books or 2,000 books, whatever. It's something that you accomplish, and you should feel proud of that. And whether I ever become a Stephanie Meyer or a Anne Rice or whatever, I have done what I wanted to do, and I will continue to write, and I'm sure that there will be some people that will appreciate that.
Quickly.
And I'll appreciate them.
Tell me quickly, how did you overcome writer block, if you ever had it?
Writer block. Writer block is, I don't know that really exists. I think that it's an excuse, but I do have times when I don't have time. I don't have time to write, so I guess you could call that writer's block. But I know that you might just run into a dead end, and then you just have to start your curiosity, your juices flowing again, and think about it and concentrate on it. And if you're really a writer and you're really serious about it, it'll come back.
Roberta, we have to say so long for tonight. I do want to thank you so much. I wish you much success, and I look forward to the next time you're here with us in the X Zone with your next book. So until then, take care.
Well, thank you, Rob. I have really enjoyed it, and I hope that everyone else has enjoyed it. And just contact me on my website and tell your wife to get the book and read it. Check it out.
I will. www.asilentheart.com. Well, that's it for tonight, everyone. I'd like to thank each and every one of you listening around the world, whether you're at home, work, or the office, for allowing us to be part of your day or your night. So until tomorrow night, when once again we meet here in the X Zone, take care of each other, love your children, and always keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. Good night now.